It all started on a quiet Friday morning in early summer. The air was crisp, the birds were singing, and the road twisted through the mountains like a ribbon of silver. After being away for nearly 10 years, I was finally returning to my childhood home, HOA cabin in the valley where my late father had raised me. He had passed away 5 years ago, and the memories of those days still echoed like a soft song in my heart. As I drove through the mountain pass in my 2026 Ford Expedition, I couldn't help but smile at how peaceful everything felt. The trees swayed in the wind, and the sun glowed through the leaves like gold. But I had no idea that peace was about to be shattered by someone who believed they ran the entire place. When I reached the gate of the valley, I noticed something new. A sign that read Evergreen Valley Community, a private HOA property. I frowned. That wasn't there before. My father had owned this entire land, to every hill, every creek, every tree. The HOA was new, and I didn't remember ever signing anything or selling the property. I shrugged it off, figuring I'd sort it out later. But as soon as I pulled into the old gravel road leading to my cabin, a white SUV came racing behind me, honking like crazy. I stopped, rolled down my window, and before I could say a word, a woman in her 50s stepped out. She had sunglasses too big for her face, a clipboard in her hand, and an attitude that screamed trouble. "Excuse me," she yelled, walking up to my car. "You can't just drive in here like that. This is a private community. Outsiders are not allowed beyond the HOA gate." I looked at her, trying to stay calm. "I'm not an outsider," I said. "I'm heading to my family's cabin." "Your family's cabin?" she repeated, laughing like I had told a joke. "Honey, there are no private cabins here. All properties in Evergreen Valley are regulated under the HOA." "Who exactly do you think you are?" "My name's Nathaniel Hayes," I said. "My father, Richard Hayes, built the first cabin here in the 1970s. He owned this entire valley." Her face twisted with disbelief. "Impossible," she snapped. "The valley is part of the Evergreen HOA now. And if you don't turn around right now, I'll have to call the sheriff." I sighed. I didn't want to cause a scene, but I wasn't about to leave my home because some self-appointed neighborhood enforcer told me to. "Do what you need to," I said. "I'm going to my cabin." I drove off slowly, leaving her standing in the dust, shouting something about trespassing. When I reached the cabin, it looked almost exactly as I remembered: aged wood, a rusty roof, but still standing strong. I got out, took a deep breath, and smiled. Home. But within 15 minutes, I heard sirens. 2 sheriff's cars pulled up behind me. The same woman, Karen, was standing by her SUV, arms crossed, looking smug. The deputy stepped out and approached me. "Sir, we received a call about a trespasser. Can I see some ID, please?" I handed over my driver's license and said, "Officer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. My family owns this land." The deputy nodded, glancing at Karen. "Ma'am, you said he broke into private HOA property?" "That's right," she said quickly. "He's trespassing on community land. None of the HOA members approved this." The officer turned back to me. "Do you have any proof of ownership, sir?" I smiled and pulled out a folder from my truck. Inside were the original land deeds, all signed under my father's name and later transferred to me. The deputy took a few minutes to look them over. His eyebrows went up. "Ma'am," he said, turning to Karen, "these documents show that Mr. Hayes owns all 500 acres of this valley, including this cabin and everything within the HOA boundary." Karen froze. "That can't be right," she yelled. "The HOA manages this land. We've been maintaining the roads, the lights, the entrance signs, everything." The deputy replied, "Ma'am, you can't form an HOA on land you don't legally own. Unless Mr. Hayes signed over property rights, you've got a serious problem." Karen's face turned red. She started stammering. "We a broken bar. We thought it was abandoned. We cleaned it up. We built homes." I crossed my arms. "You built homes a broken bar on my property?" That was when the deputy asked her, "Did you or anyone in your HOA ever check the county land records?" She stayed silent. The deputy shook his head and said, "You might want to get a lawyer, "Mom, this looks like an illegal occupation." Karen looked like her world had just fallen apart. She tried to argue, but the deputy told her to calm down and leave the property while the matter was investigated. She drove off in her SUV, still yelling out the window about how this was all a mistake. After the police left, I walked through the valley, trying to understand what had happened. The once open land my father loved had been filled with half a dozen new homes, all built without my consent. They even had mailboxes, a small park, and street lamps. It was like someone had built a whole new world right under my nose. That night, I sat by the old fireplace in my cabin, thinking about my father. He used to tell me, "Son, land is more than dirt. It's history. It's legacy. Take care of it, and it'll take care of you." I realized that I had let too much time pass. I had left this place behind for too long, and others had taken advantage. The next week, I contacted a property lawyer in town. After reviewing the situation, he told me that the HOA had no legal standing whatsoever. The people who bought homes there had been scammed by a fake developer who claimed he owned the land. Karen, as HOA president, had been one of the first buyers and she had organized the rest. When the truth came out, the entire community was shocked. Most of the residents were innocent families who had no idea their homes were built on land that wasn't legally sold. They had been paying HOA fees and mortgages for years. It broke my heart to see that kind of chaos, but I knew I had to protect my family's legacy. I could have sued them all, kicked everyone out, and reclaimed everything immediately. But my father wouldn't have wanted that. Instead, I invited all the homeowners to a meeting at the Valley's community hall. Karen showed up too, looking defeated. I stood in front of everyone and said, "I'm Nathaniel Hayes. My father built this cabin and owned this valley long before any of you arrived. What happened here is a mess, but I don't blame you. I blame the man who lied to you." The room was silent. "I'm not going to throw you out," I continued, "but we're going to do this the right way. I'll work with the county to formalize ownership for each of you, under fair and legal terms." And as for the HOA broken bar, I paused and looked right at Karen. "It's dissolved. Starting today."